On Namek, we got to see the terrifying power of the Emperor FRIEZA. He easily took down many strong heroes, even killing some in the process and then destroying the planet. And the craziest part is, he almost did win. Had Goku never gone Super Saiyan, FRIEZA could have actually won. So, if he actually did win, what would have happened there? That's what we'll be covering today. For this video, let's set a like goal of 3,000 likes. That'll let me know if you guys like scenarios like this one. And with that intro out of the way, let's see what would happen if FRIEZA actually won. Following the Spirit Bomb, everyone began celebrating, thinking that FRIEZA had been defeated by it. But little did everyone know, FRIEZA actually survived. Crawling out of the crater, FRIEZA makes his presence known to everyone, and he is definitely not happy. He stretches out a single finger, pointed towards the group, and before anyone can even react, a laser pierces through Goku's chest, knocking him to the ground. FRIEZA laughs maniacally. Now he has no opposition. This attack on Goku would cause something though, for Gohan specifically. While Goku wouldn't turn Super Saiyan, this might be enough to push Gohan over the edge and make him go Super Saiyan, surprising everyone. But there's a big issue here. Even with Gohan going Super Saiyan and whatever rage boost he gets, simply put, he can't face FRIEZA. Even with Piccolo and Krillin joining in as a last resort, it wouldn't work. FRIEZA is just too powerful for them to take on. Krillin is the first to be defeated, followed by Piccolo, then Gohan. FRIEZA shows no mercy whatsoever. And there's another issue here. With Piccolo killed, that means the Dragon Balls on Earth are gone, meaning we can't get the Dragon Balls on Namek back either. The only ones in existence right now are the Super Dragon Balls. And of course, no one knows about them. What basically just happened is FRIEZA erased the Dragon Balls. It's a point of no return. He's pretty disappointed and angered. He was so close to getting his wish, but he couldn't. And out of anger, he decides, why not blow up this planet? It's just a useless rock now and no one's on it. It'll help him vent his frustrations a bit. He charges a blast and sends it right to Namek's core, as he flies off the surface. Within this short period of time, FRIEZA just radically changed the series. Goku's dead, the Dragon Balls are gone, all the Z-Fighters are going to remain dead, even Bulma ended up dying. Every major fighter is gone, and there's essentially no opposition to FRIEZA. Back on Earth, Dr. Briefs would definitely find out about Namek exploding. He'd probably know where the planet is and he'd be observing it. If not that, King Kai would end up informing everyone about the problem. And out of the main cast, there's not really any fighters left. People like Yajirobe and Roshi are still there, but everyone else, they're gone. This news terrifies everyone. Not only did everyone die, but FRIEZA's now on the loose. Who knows, maybe he'll come for Earth next. They feel sad, angered, frustrated. There's nothing they can do. Thankfully, Earth does remain peaceful for now, but everyone in the group is in a period of mourning. It stays this way for a while, until someone unexpected shows up, that being Trunks. Trunks would still arrive from the future, and he realizes that there's no FRIEZA here. He can't sense the group or find Goku either. This doesn't really seem right, so he decides to head to Capsule Corp to get some answers. Dr. Brief is there, who he's heard stories about, and sadly, he informs Trunks that Bulma isn't here. Dr. Brief explains everything. Namek exploded, and FRIEZA killed the fighters there, and he's unsure of what order that occurred in. There's no Dragon Balls on Earth, and everyone's gonna remain dead. Obviously, Trunks isn't sure what to do. He can't even go and kill FRIEZA because he has no way of reaching him, and it seems like these timelines aren't even the same. Whatever he does here won't affect his, because otherwise he'd be dead right now. With no other real option, Trunks decides he'll flat out tell Dr. Brief who he is. He's the son of Bulma and Vegeta from the future, a timeline where the Red Ribbon Army had two androids attack and kill everyone. He traveled back in hopes of changing the future, but it seems like that's not gonna happen. Obviously, him revealing his identity isn't gonna change much. But this is actually good for him. Dr. Brief decides to help, giving Trunks a capsule full of materials, one with food, and even one with a gravity chamber inside of it so Trunks can train. He saw how well that worked for Goku and decided, why not make another one? Especially since it'll help his grandson in the future. It's really the least he could do. And even though no one here can face the androids, it's good that Trunks warned them. Dr. Brief can put in a tip somewhere, and someone can go find the lab and deactivate them. Trunks thanks him and ends up returning to his timeline. And this is great. He gives Bulma the materials and she's able to make more fuel for the time machine in case they need to escape. And obviously having the food is a huge help. But the biggest thing is now they have a gravity chamber that they can use on the go. It's gonna take a lot of time, but Trunks begins training in here. Probably for a few years or so. They remain on the move trying to avoid the androids, and it ends up working. Trunks eventually is able to train at such high levels that he gets strong enough to defeat at least one of the androids. And at this point he launches his attack, surprising the twins as he kills 18 first. And this is great. Now that he killed one, he could kill 17 too. Catching them off guard was a great idea, since he still can't take both of them at once. He then ends up killing 17, saving the future. Cell would eventually show up too, and he probably would end up causing some havoc eventually. But Trunks is continuing his training, and he's at a point where he could defeat Cell as well. Thankfully, he prevented another android threat, so all goes well for Trunks. But what's happening in the present? Well, Dr. Brief didn't really follow the plan. Instead of trying to get the police to handle it or something, he decided why not find Jiro's lab himself. He ends up creating some drones, sending them to Jiro's lab and spying on it once they find it. And one day, Jiro leaves having to get some materials for his work. It's the perfect opportunity. Drones fly into the lab, finding the androids in there. The drones grab 3 of the pods, labeled 16, 17, and 18, as well as scanning all of Jiro's blueprints and finding something for a project called Cell, which they end up destroying, as well as one of the weaponized drones destroying the entire lab. The drones fly out, bringing the androids back to Capsule Corp. Jiro of course hears the explosion and goes back to check what's happened. He realizes he's under attack, but at this rate, he can't fight back. He's still not fully an android. He's just a human with some mechanical parts at this point. This explosion also gets more attention, with cops eventually coming to investigate. Jiro is found, and even if he tries to fight them off, it's not gonna work. He ends up getting arrested. Dr. Brief chuckles. This was all his doing, but it's for the greater good. Now with all of Jiro's blueprints, this could really help. Earth does need some new fighters, since everyone is pretty concerned that FRIEZA may show up eventually. The androids aren't awoken yet, which is great. Dr. Brief is able to go into their programming and find out what they were made for. This is child's play for him. With all of his resources and knowledge, he's able to actually reprogram them, finding out that 2 of them are actually cyborgs while 1 is just a robot. That Cell project seemed interesting, so he keeps it in mind, but he feels it's for the better that he destroyed it. As for these 3 though, he's been able to reprogram them and eventually awaken them. All their evil parts from Jiro have been removed, and they're essentially restored to what they were before. Dr. Brief could have reprogrammed them to fight for him, but that didn't really seem right. He actually has a moral compass unlike Jiro. So, the androids are just normal superpowered people. Well, except for 16. Dr. Brief actually reprogrammed him to work for Capsule Corp. For the other 2 though, it was kind of an ethical issue. He tells 17 and 18 what happened to them and what he did, and they don't really know how to react. The good thing is, if they act up, 16 is stronger and can stop them. But that won't be necessary. The 2 just awkwardly leave after figuring out what happened. It is a lot of info to be dumped on them at once. They remember what Jiro did, and they're surprised that someone ended up saving them. So, for a while, these 2 go on their own, kind of at a weird spot in life. They just live lives as normal teenagers, or at least as normal as they can. One day though, Cell eventually shows up from the future, and he's on the hunt for these 2 androids. Dr. Brief sees on the news that one day, some people are just disappearing in a city, with nothing but their clothes left behind. He has a bad feeling and realizes he may have not completely destroyed Cell, but really it just turns out it's Cell from the future. He sends 16 out to get the 2 other androids and tell them about what's happening. The good thing is, Cell can't locate the androids, but 16 can, and he's able to find them and warn them about what's happening, acting kind of as a bodyguard too. Cell does eventually catch up to them, trying to absorb 1 or 2 of the androids. But he's in a bad spot right now. He's not strong enough to face all 3 of them, and he hasn't caught them off guard. Their guard has never been lowered. It's a tough battle, and 16 has to try and protect 17 and 18. But with help from them and from himself, they're able to defeat Cell. They do have knowledge about his regeneration and everything else about him too, due to the info from Jiro's lab. 17 and 18 are just surprised. Why do all this work for them? There's so much happening in their lives right now and they don't really know what to do with it. Now, we reach kind of where a time skip would have been. This is when the Android Saga was supposed to happen, and now we'd be going to the time skip where the Boost Saga is about to begin. Over this time skip, not much would change. Really, the only people we'd be focusing on is the androids. All the fighters are still dead. But it's not as clear-cut as that. One day, Chi-Chi and Ox King are at home, essentially with nothing to do. But oddly enough, 3 visitors show up. They open the door and the person standing there is fortune teller Baba. The 2 are confused as to why she's here, and then she introduces her other 2 guests. Standing there are Goku and Gohan with halos above their heads. Baba felt really bad about what happened so far. And with Goku's connections in the afterlife, she and him were able to pull some strings, and now, once a year, he gets to visit Earth alongside Gohan. It's kind of bittersweet. It's been so long since Chi-Chi and Ox King got to see them, but it's great that they get to see them at all. They didn't even know this was a possibility. The same goes for the other fighters. Roshi gets a surprise visit from Krillin. For Tenshinhan and Chaozu, I guess they'd go and see Launch. Probably Roshi too, alongside Yamcha. And Bulma's family gets to see her again. Since she's not really a fighter, she's not in the same part of Otherworld with everyone else, but she gets to come back too. Everyone is able to have a reunion for the day, as well as spending some time with the people closest to them. It's a weird situation for Gohan though. He's eternally gonna be as old as he was on Namek when he died, which is around 5. I didn't want it to be completely dark. There still is somewhat of a silver lining. And as weird as it sounds, with these visits to Earth, there still is potential for Goten to be born. I won't get into specifics, but you probably know what I'm referring to. But anywho, this is a really welcome surprise. And the weirdest part is everyone gets to meet the androids. By this time over the time skip, the 2 realized that they didn't really have much going on and decided they probably needed a job. so the first place they actually looked was Capsule Corp. Even with their odd situation, they're pretty grateful for what Dr. Brief did for them, so the two would most likely become security detail. It is what they're best at after all. Despite the crappy situation that Earth was given, things are going pretty well right now. Eventually, we do get to the tournament in the Boo Saga, but there's no one that Bobbity could steal energy from. If anything, Shin and Kibito might just show up and stop Bobbity and Deborah themselves. Deborah would be a big issue, but there's still 3 fighters that they can enlist help from. The 3 androids join in and help. 17 and 18 have been training a bit and did get a bit stronger, and 16's been heavily upgraded by Dr. Brief. With the combined effort from these 5 warriors, they're able to kill Deborah, saving Earth, the galaxy, and potentially the whole universe in this process. So that's all of Z covered. What would happen in Super? Beerus would eventually wake up, dreaming of a Super Saiyan God. It turns out though that all the Saiyans are dead. Beerus could visit Otherworld and try and get a Super Saiyan God from there, but that doesn't seem likely. In terms of the pure-hearted Saiyans, there's only Goku and Gohan on Otherworld and Goten on Earth, who Whis might not even know about. All the other dead Saiyans are pretty much still bad guys, and probably wouldn't have even kept their bodies in hell. This may include Vegeta too, sadly, although that's a bit more debatable. Beerus is underwhelmed, but in a way, it's kinda his fault. He ordered Frieza to destroy planet Vegeta, so yeah, that's kinda his doing. And what's been happening with Frieza? Well, he's just been going around space doing what he does best, taking over planets. I feel like eventually he would come across Earth, trying to take over it in part of his conquest with King Cold. The Frieza force is smaller than before due to what happened on Namek, but they all descend on Earth and cause havoc there. Of course, the androids would be the ones to fight everyone off, but then Frieza himself comes in alongside King Cold. Naturally, the androids would be stronger and could take them on, but they get a surprise fighter trying to help them. They didn't even realize, but it's the time of year that Goku visits. Frieza's surprised to see him, with a halo on his head. Of course, Goku's been training a lot in Otherworld, alongside everyone else. He couldn't just forgive himself for what Frieza did before, and if there ever was a time where he can come back to Earth, it would be a time when he wanted to fight Frieza. Frieza chuckles. There's no way this monkey will defeat him. He already killed him once. He'll just kill him again. But there is something surprising that Goku was able to access in Otherworld. Due to his experience on Namek, he channeled all those emotions. And alongside all the training and time that's passed, Goku powers up and shows off Super Saiyan. Without needing to worry about sleep or energy in the afterlife, he tells Frieza that he's much stronger right now. And since Gohan accessed it on Namek, it was a lot easier for Goku to find it out later on. Goku is then joined by all of his friends. Gohan, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Yamcha, Krillin, even Chaozu. Everyone fights off the Frieza force. As Goku and Gohan go after King Cold and Frieza together, they're able to completely overpower the tyrants. Surprisingly, Goku and Gohan would be joined by Goten too. With his natural access to S-cells, and with Goku and Gohan's occasional visits, Goten has learned Super Saiyan. And it's kinda weird because technically he has aged more than his brother, even though Gohan is older. But physically Gohan would still be younger due to him not aging. But that's besides the point. He's gotten pretty strong and impresses Goku, and joins them in the fight against Frieza and Cold. Together, they decide it's time to finish it. And what better way than a combined attack? Goku, Gohan, and Goten charge a family Kamehameha, launching it towards the two tyrants, effectively erasing them from existence. They have secured victory, as the rest of the Frieza force is defeated by the other fighters and the androids. That was a long time coming, and they're really glad that they got the opportunity for it. It sucks that they're stuck in Otherworld, but hey, at least they can visit Earth once in a while. So it seems neatly wrapped up here. What would follow this? Well, there's 3 possible outcomes. The best one is nothing happens. There wouldn't be any tournament with Universe 6, meaning there probably wouldn't be a tournament of power because Zeno wouldn't be inspired. But that leads to the second possibility. This one being Zeno just erasing every universe. He did plan that anyways, and the Tournament of Power was just a way for the universes to fight back. But without the Tournament of Power, he might just erase the universes, either early on or way later down the line. And if that doesn't happen, there's also another third option that is pretty bad. Moro would escape prison, and he'd try to go for the Dragon Balls, but obviously there aren't any. He may be aware of the Super Dragon Balls, but there's definitely no way he's going to be able to find them, considering how focused he was on Namek's. So, without his wish, he'd just go around absorbing energy from random planets. He would never truly restore his youth, but he would get really strong in the process. But with him becoming such a major threat, Beerus may actually do his job for once and just erase him. There's no other fighters to hold him off, so Beerus is really the last line of defense for Universe 7. And this may be the most likely outcome. Moro gets defeated by Beerus and the universe just continues on as normal, until it's inevitably erased by Zeno. But hey, we don't want to get too dark, do we? Let's just say, things remain as is. Everyone remains dead, but they do get to see Earth once in a while, and it is peaceful. A bit bittersweet, but there's no real way for them to come back. Goten would eventually grow up, probably training to be like his dad, but the great thing is he never has to really use this power. He and the 3 androids are the last fighters on Earth, and with that, I guess that's where this story ends. So, What did you guys think about this scenario? It's a lot different from what I usually do. Do you think it would retain the bittersweet ending, or would it have a dark ending where Zeno erases everyone? What do you think would change? Leave all your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like. And let's try to hit that like goal from the beginning of the video. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future videos I upload on my channel, including more like this one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.